Hello, everyone. Welcome to another horror review. Well, it just seemed right that we wrap up the Evil Dead weekend. As you know, yesterday was the 30th anniversary of Army of Darkness. So, hope you enjoyed our role playing session where we basically made agents out of ourselves on our buddy Adam's channel. A lot of fun. Took me a minute. A new game system. Took a minute to get into it, but once we did, yeah, chaos ensued. So that was always good fun. And like this franchise, continuity isn't exactly 100% really needed. So let's finish off with part two. So we went from three to two. We talked about, God, when was it? It might have been last year. We talked about the 2013 remake, but we kind of made reference to Evil Dead as it is. This is, I think the term was requel. So it's part prequel, or sorry, part sequel, part remake. Uh, it's an odd little beast. Let's just put it like that there. It kind of goes over the beats of the first movie, except this time, instead of being the five of them, it's just Ash and Linda. Now, we've got a different actress obviously playing Linda, but it's essentially the same character. It's Ash's girlfriend. This time, though, they haven't rented out the camp, and what they've done, they think it's abandoned, so they've kind of sneaked in and they're being naughty. You know, hee hee hee, we've sneaked into a cabin, and they're messing about. Um, yeah, that's different beats, but essentially the same thing happens. That they come across the tape recording. They know it's a professor's cabin. He's the one that discovered Necronomicon, and he's taking it back to study it. They don't know this until they start playing the tape, and that's pretty much the same as the first movie. Oh, hey, Chris. Yeah, it was one of those. I had a side mission during the game. Basically, my character was holding a torch for Jen, and he was a nerd in school, so he was always made fun of. And over the years, he well and truly planted himself in the friend zone. And the whole point was he was socially awkward. And even though he's went and achieved stuff in his life since, every time he comes back to that group, he becomes the same nerd again. And that was kind of my side mission, was at some point to profess undying love at the most inappropriate moment. So, what better than a little possessed demon girl trying to crawl inside somebody while somebody else is a possessed demon chopping off somebody's head? That just seemed an appropriate time to profess my undying love. You know, winner. It's almost giving you. I can't believe Adam got so triggered about that. It was anybody who doesn't get the joke, it was during our Call of Cthulhu game, because obviously the handheld illumination device in English is called torch. In Dumyankistani, it's called flashlight. You know, and he gets proper upset. I'll never forget. He's in my house one time, and obviously I brought all my stuff over. We're measuring. We're working on a project. We're setting up the room. We're going to do video stuff. I put a few props, so we needed a measure, and I handed him a tape measure. And of course, it's set in UK, so the top part's all metric. He just pulls it and goes, "What the fuck is that?" And proper flipped out. It's just funny. Adam kills me at times. He's a very dear friend over many years, and I wouldn't change him for the world. But yeah, have some fun ribbing each other. Yeah, it's all part of it. That's what friendship's all about. At the end of the day, that man has my back through thick and thin. I have his. Same with Cameron. You can't buy friendship like that. You know, that's just the way of the world. And if you can take a bit of ribbon, make fun of each other and jest, you know, and you all know it's, you know, good banter. That's what it's about. And so it's good to have a wee bit of that in the game as well, because sorry, I'm going off. Guess what? Get off on another tangent, because that's what these streams are all about. So that's why these streams are getting longer and longer, because there's more and more tangents. And I'm blaming you for this one, Chris, because you started this. You know how easily distracted I am. Yeah, especially with role playing games and that, people just get so wound up, I think, and caught in the moment, thinking they have to be some sort of Hollywood actor, and you know it's a performance, but it's not. It's actually just a bit of a laugh, and if you make a fool of yourself and just like karaoke, there's this notion that you have to be a professional singer to be karaoke, where the whole point of it, the design of it, was stress relief. You just sung badly, and the worse you sang, And in the UK, we add children's rhymes and stuff, to like a disco beat to the back, and they get thrown into the mix, and it's just utter daftness. And that's the whole point. Letting out of yourself, just letting go, having a laugh. And yes, this bloody tangent is your fault, Chris. I am blaming you entirely because I am, of course, pure as driven snow on a horror channel talking about deadites and Darien demons and all that good stuff. Anyway, back to the story. So the beats are different. We get we get the cabin, we get the tape recording, we get the recited passages of the Necronomicon, and I hope you like and I had a few phrases not jotted down to kind of mess them up and mash them to play about yesterday. It was a good bit of fun, but yeah, the whole point is once you read the passages, then you summon the Kandarian demon, and that's it. All hell breaks loose. So pretty much the same as the first one. The played the tape recites it, and the demon comes and the same shots, and then this time possesses Linda. I think the difference this time is obviously there's only two of them initially, so that makes it a bit more intense because you've got one, at least with the five of them, they've got companionship, but effectively Ash Williams sees his girlfriend just possessed and never dealt with us before, because it's not a sequel. That's the thing. It's like an alternate universe or something. It's all very strange. Yet it all gets tied together in Ash vs. Evil Dead, because Cheryl makes an appearance in the his sister who got possessed in the first one. Makes an appearance in Ash vs. Evil Dead, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, this is the birth of the Ash Williams character that we've known and loved over the years. It's this movie that created him. He was a character in, obviously the first Evil Dead, but he was more of a sympathetic, he was a final girl, essentially. This is the birth of the chainsaw hand, boomstick wielding, wisecracking, fed up with the world, cynical, person that who's still a hero. And I wouldn't even say anti-hero. He's a reluctant hero. He knows what he has to do, but he doesn't want to do it. And this is the creation of him. And bloody hell, he goes through the mill, because for the first half of the movie, it ends up after Linda gets possessed, and he decapitates her, and then she comes back, and then she bites his hand. No, she bites his hand first, then he decapitates her, then she comes back, then he kills her again, and then buries her, and then his hand gets possessed, and that's the bit where, people think, if you haven't seen the movie before and you see clips, you think it all happens at the end of the movie. It doesn't happen right at the beginning. There's no messing about. So this is where the bit where he chops off his hand, and that he becomes the iconic Ash. But the first half of the movie is him battling the Kandarian demons in the form of his own hand. His own hand's possessed and keeps coming at him, and he's trying to, survive and kill it at the same time because he's angry. He's fearful. It's all things. And he ends up getting possessed himself. He goes through the whole bloody mill. He tries to escape. And this is the whole thing with the bridge. And if you've seen the remake, they played it out the bridge thing differently. But it's the same idea that basically the Kandarian demon owns that land and has control of everything. And this is where we get more about the trees. You get a hint of it in the first one, but this sort of brings the trees to life. And don't forget, Lord of the Rings hadn't come out then, so nobody had seen Ents or anything. This is the first of actually walking, talking trees. Just a bit more intense than Poltergeist, for example. That is the most intense tree I've ever seen in my life, even to this day. Like horror tree. But yeah, it then proceeds that Ash just gets battered. He is abused throughout the first half of this movie by the demon. That's it. He gets possessed. He's still trying to fight back and be himself. And then what we have is like a subplot So you have the archaeologist's daughter and her boyfriend have been to a dig to find the missing pages of the Necronomicon. So they know about the Necronomicon, and it's only part of the book that's in the cabin. In the first half, it summons a demon, but she's went on a quest to find the rest of the pages, which banish the demon. So it's two halves of a book. And at this point, she didn't know what happened to her parents. So she's returning. They find the bridge is, from the other side, is completely wrecked. And then we meet two random Bobby Joe and God, what do you call him? Flipping, was it Jake? Yeah, like the oddest couple on the planet. Yeah, and this is all physicality and it's all character acting. Yeah, and that's when you see that's when you know you've got a good actor. Don't really need they don't need props. They can just basically act on their own, and because there's a bit of physicality there, the problem is with today with Hollywood, you see people behind the green screen, and there's this dead, lifeless look in their eyes when they're trying to act. You know what I mean? They're just phoning it in. Um, Bruce Campbell is just one of those rare performers that lives for his art. He lives to perform, and you can see that in his acting, and the fact that he's basically acting against himself for half of this movie. Um, it's so fun to watch. But this is what established Bruce Campbell. Like, I think Evil Dead One, if that had just always been a great movie, but we wouldn't have had the longevity without Evil Dead Two. That's my opinion, anyway. There's people still have thoughts about, oh, it wasn't good, oh, it was a remake, oh, it was this and that. It tells a completely different story. It just starts off in a different way. Could they have made a sequel after what happened in the first one? Him going back, would he have brought anybody back with him? Because this gets played out in Ash versus Evil Dead, and that's and people have slagged that TV show off about this continuity, but it actually does such a brilliant job of expanding the lore in a way that you don't have time in a movie, and Ash battling those demons. So I don't know if a direct sequel of him going back to the cabin by himself would have worked. So it kind of had to happen this way. I don't. Unless by not making Evil Dead 1, and this had been the first movie, that's the only real change I could see. But you get to enjoy both in their own right. God, where we're going. So yeah, we've then got Nobi Annie and Ed. That's the two. And that's Annie's the archaeologist whose name I can't remember. His daughter, her boyfriend slash husband. I can't remember which, but something like that. And then they discover these other two who they bargained to show them another way to the cabin. So they end up just being four unsuspecting people who then Ash has managed to battle the demon and actually unpossess himself, which is pretty amazing if you think about it. No pairs of priests needed for this one. He just he manages to come back to himself just as they come in, and they see him covered in blood, cabin an absolute mess, and then they think that he's done something to their parents, and then they throw him in the cellar where Cheryl was thrown in the first one. Was it Cheryl in the cellar in the first one? Kept popping up. God, can't remember. Doing this in reverse order. So he gets thrown in there, and then the demon comes back and things start going haywire again. God, I can't remember the. Bobby Joe goes next. She gets chased out in the woods, and then Ed, no, No, it's not Ed. It's the other guy. Well, he no, her boyfriend, Bobby Joe's boyfriend, then cracks up, and then he like threatens him with a gun, saying, "We're going out to find Bobby Joe," and then he gets taken next. Then Ed's the Annie's husband. He gets so just a whole sequence of events, as pretty much the first movie. So the second movie kind of goes back to the same beats of the first movie, if that makes sense. So we have this weird thing where you got Ash Williams on his own battling the Kandarian demon. Then all of a sudden you get 5 people in the cabin again, as if it's right back to the start. I think maybe shaving off the first bit and then them coming in after the events of the first one might have worked, if that makes sense. That would have been there's a video with joined the two together to make it a seamless movie. So basically, Ash getting possessed after the events of Evil Dead 1, then the Annie and that coming, and then they discover that the professor's killed, Henrietta's been possessed because they listen to the rest of the tape. Henrietta's played by Ted Raimi, by the way, Sam Raimi's brother. You've seen him if you've seen the Spider-Man trilogy, he's the one who plays Johnny Day James's like assistant, not assistant, but like sycophant. He's not. I remember we were talking about the Creep Show season 2, and I completely spaced it because I'd not seen anything in years, and I was getting my own shit sorted out, and I'm like, I know that guy from somewhere. And the whole episode, you can check it out in like a really old streaming. Cameron's just making fun of me because I'm just like, my head was somewhere else, and I didn't recognize Ted Raimi. I'm like, I know that bloke, and when the connections, you're like flipping, your brain's gone for a bit, and you forget things, and you flipping don't make connections. Yeah, that's as another one of my moments of shame with moving knowledge and so forth. Yeah. But yeah, Ted Raimi's in this. It's a family affair. You get the idea. It's a family affair. The whole Evil Dead series. Everyone doesn't have to work on it, but they do because they want to, and it's become like a labor of love for all those involved. Yeah, chaos ensues. Then Annie decides to trust Ash because he knows what to do, and then this is the bit where go into the shed, and this is the bit where he actually makes the chainsaw hand and all the tools, and he's like using clamps and vices, and that's the whole iconic Garuve, that scene comes from. He turns his shotgun into a sawn off, and then he just becomes an action hero. It's like a switch gets flicked, and I think I'm being possessed by the demon, because if you think about the first movie, he wasn't an action hero. He wasn't the wisecrack. He was just not up for this at all. He was terrified, and he just wanted his sister and his girlfriend back. That was and his friends. He was I would say, more sympathetic character. You'd feel more sympathy for him in the first one because he's more of a victim. This, he embraces it, and then he decides enough's enough and fights back. This is where he then turns into the Ash Williams we all know and love. That unique character that even comes back in his bloody 60s and still manages to kick arse. It's amazing. Somebody can still do that. But yeah, then in the center, they meet Henrietta, and she's all, globless, and she can fly, and she's a like, full demon. Like, Henrietta's not there anymore. I can't remember what happened to Arthur, the professor. He might have been killed. Honestly, can't remember. Sorry, I watched this last night, and a wee bit the tired side. It's hard to keep up. But yeah, you got Henrietta. That's the major fight, and then finally, to get the pages, start to recite the verses. Now the Kandarian demon or the dagger. And who is it flipping? Oh yeah, that's when the trees and all start coming in. It just goes mental. It's just they didn't hold back with this one. Must have had a larger budget, but they really didn't hold back with the special effects. and they still hold up today. That's the thing. This was done in the 80s and flipping. You can watch them today. You know, when you watch a movie like 5 years ago and it's flipping dated as hell. You can watch this and still enjoy it. Great. Especially all the blood and stuff just squirts everywhere, and fun was had by all. Annie is reciting the passages because Jean reads them, and obviously Ash can't. And it's in Ash's hand that grabs a Kandarian dagger and kills Annie. So a severed hand dispatches Annie as she's trying to say the lines, say the words, and then it's the portal starts to open, and this is where, if you've never seen the movies, you've probably seen this scene. It's all over the show on YouTube, the final one where the portal opens and everything from the cabin starts getting sucked out. We see the Oldsmobile gets sucked out first, the demons taken. We had a teaser for Ash vs. Evil Dead in this because he's actually in the Necronomicon in the same shirt with the chainsaw. And you just know it's coming. You know something's coming because you just recognize it instantly. Then all hell breaks out. Annie, with her last damn breath, manages to read out the passages, and Ash is sucked away. Now this is where it changes again, because probably wouldn't have made as good a movie for Army of Darkness, but this is where we get the sort of prequel for Army of Darkness. So Ash gets sucked into the portal. He's in medieval England, the 1300s, which actually stated in the book the chosen one would fall from the sky. He falls from the sky, but this time when he lands, he's surrounded by soldiers. The flying demon comes in, he dispatches it, and then they all, the chosen one from the sky, and they're all healing him. He's like, oh god, and that's where it finishes off. All in all, it's, you think about, also when you think about the way the studios get involved and the way these movies happen, and the success prompts a sequel, because Raimi had a bad movie. God, I can't remember what it was, but he had a bad movie before this, so that said you need to make a sequel or else studios aren't going to trust you anymore. It's a very strange world, because certain directors and creators get put under the thumb. They always do their best, and yet there's that much trite pumped out on a weekly basis. You kind of wonder where the standards are and where the barometer's set, because it makes no sense. The movie industry makes no sense about how they value something. They'll pump millions into some crap movie. And I think it's back to this whole thing of the attitude towards horror. Like, there's an awful attitude by the mainstream media, by entertainment, and yet horror is like the long-standing staple of books. We've had this conversation hundreds of times. You know where I'm coming from. Once again, if a horror movie does badly, like, oh, that's awful, you're never getting money again. But they'll put out 20 rom-coms in a row, all doing badly, and they don't care. Go figure. But this definitely, in terms of a movie, great fun to watch, even after all this time. It's been a couple of years since I've seen it. And it sets up the Ash Williams character, Ashy Slashy, as he's is known. It sets up Bruce Campbell. I think that this is what I think I essentially made his career. After this, there was I don't think he was ever going back. If he'd done nothing else in his life, he'd always be cemented in this role. Obviously, I already talked about Army of Darkness. Saturday, was it? No. Was Saturday? Friday or Saturday, right? I talked about Army of Darkness, so you can go check that video out. And yeah, there you go. Really fun. I might go back in time again later on in the week, but I'm a wee bit busy. We've got Eric's coming on Wednesday. We've got a few people on Saturday. I've got Dale and Andy to talk about Let the Right One In. I've got Steve joining Cameron on Sunday to talk about the Omen remake. So quite a bit going on, but I might try and squeeze the first Evil Dead in again, the first one. We've already talked about the sequel, so what I'll do is I'll stick it in the comments. I'll go and find you the videos and I'll stick it in the comments so you can check everything out if you're so inclined. Once again, thanks everyone for joining in. Thanks to the chat. Thanks to where are we? YouTube, Facebook. Facebook seems to be behaving itself tonight. So thanks to everyone there who's watching and keeping up to date. Don't forget, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications. All the typey clicky things. You know how it works by now. Please share the episodes. Let's get people involved. Let's give get a bit of buzz. Let's get a bit of a chat because I can go on for ages. If I get enough distractions, I'll go off on tangents till the guys come home and we'll sort of talk about a movie. I think this is the way these streams are going now. We'll start off, the main thing will be the movie I'm talking about, but who knows where we end up. And as always, get people on, guests, more than welcome. If you want to get involved with the show, check out our website. Loads of ways to contribute. And until next time, everyone, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.